Welcome to the deep dive. So, you're asking about the real differences in maintenance, electric versus gasoline cars. Does owning an EV actually save you hassle, day to day? Let's dig in.
Yeah, it's a really common question. And the fundamental answer really boils down to simplicity. EVs just have far fewer moving parts.
Simplicity.
Think about no internal combustion engine, no complex transmission like you're used to, no exhaust system.
Right, none of that.
And that straight away cuts down on potential problems and the kind of routine servicing you expect with a gas car.
Fewer parts, fewer problems. Makes sense. But EVs do need some upkeep, right?
Yeah.
It can't be absolutely nothing.
Definitely not zero. You still have essentials. Things like tire rotations, checking the tire pressure, that's universal.
Okay, tires. What else?
Well, you've got brake fluid checks, though honestly they tend to be needed less often. Cabin air filters need changing, same as any car. And windshield wipers, of course.
So, pretty standard stuff, mostly.
Well, a lot of it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Very familiar.
What about the tires and brakes themselves? Are they like special EV versions I need to worry about?
Good question. Standard tires work just fine. Some EVs do come with tires designed for lower rolling resistance, helps maximize the range a bit.
Ah, for efficiency.
Exactly. But the brakes, that's where things get interesting because of regenerative braking.
Right, you hear about that a lot. How does that really affect maintenance?
Well, the electric motor itself helps slow the car down when you let off the accelerator or lightly press the brake. It actually recaptures some energy back into the battery.
Okay.
And the main effect for maintenance is that your traditional brake pads, the friction brakes, they just don't have to work as hard or as often.
So they last longer.
Significantly longer. Some estimates suggest brake pads on an EV could last several times longer than on a comparable gasoline car because they're used so much less.
Wow, okay. Fewer brake jobs. Definitely sounds appealing. What about the big one, the battery? Does that need, regular servicing?
Not really, not in the way you service an engine. The car's own software is constantly monitoring the battery's health, its temperature, its charge cycles, all that.
So it looks after itself, mostly.
To a large extent, yes. The key thing for you, the owner, is peace of mind through the warranty. EV manufacturers typically provide long warranties on the battery and the drive motor.
How long are we talking, usually?
Often around 8 years or maybe 100,000 miles, sometimes even more. It covers the most expensive component.
It's reassuring. Okay, what about fluids? Gas cars seem to swim in oil and coolant and whatnot.
Yeah.
EVs?
Much, much simpler on that front. You're mainly looking at coolant, yes, but it's for the battery and the electric motor to keep them at the right temperature. And you still have brake fluid.
There's coolant and brake fluid.
Primarily, yes. That long list of engine oil, transmission fluid, differential fluid, power steering fluid, it's just not there in most EVs.
Fewer fluids, fewer parts, less brake wear. It's a pretty clear pattern.
It is. The reduction in mechanical complexity is really the core advantage.
But let's talk potential downsides. What if something does go wrong with, say, the battery or the electrics? Are repairs going to be incredibly expensive?
That's a valid concern. Specialized repairs, especially those involving the high-voltage battery system, can indeed be pricier. They require technicians with specific training and special equipment.
Right.
However, and this is important, the general thinking is that because the overall system is simpler with fewer wear and tear parts, these major issues should theoretically be less frequent than major engine or transmission problems in a gas car.
So maybe more expensive if it happens, but less likely to happen?
That's support of the trade-off, yeah. Over the life of the vehicle, the total cost of ownership, including maintenance and repairs, often still comes out lower for the EV.
Okay. And finding someone to do the work. Can my regular mechanic handle an EV?
For the basics, like tires, wipers, maybe the 12-volt battery, often yes. But for anything involving the electric powertrain or the high-voltage system, you really need a qualified EV technician.
So specialized training is key.
Absolutely. The network of qualified shops and technicians is growing all the time, but it's definitely something to be aware of. You might not be able to take it just anywhere for every issue.
What does a typical EV service visit look like then? When I take it in for a checkup, what are they actually doing?
It's often quite different. They'll usually plug it in to check for any software updates. EVs get updates kind of like your phone.
Ah, software updates for the car.
Yep. And they'll run diagnostics on the battery pack to check its health state. Then they do the usual visual inspections, tires, brake pads, though they wear slowly, lights, suspension, check the coolant and brake fluid levels. It's generally less labor-intensive.
Less involved than the oil change, filter change, spark plugs routine.
Exactly, much less involved on average.
Okay, so summing this up, The big takeaway really seems to be EVs generally do need less routine maintenance. Fewer parts, fewer fluids, less brake wear. That potentially saves you time and money, right?
That's the main message, yes. The simpler design leads to less scheduled upkeep.
And while a specialized repair might cost more if it happens, those seem less frequent overall, and you've got that long battery and motor warranty as a safety net.
Precisely. It shifts where the maintenance focus lies.
This makes the practical side of owning an EV much clearer. It's not just about, emissions or fuel costs, but the actual day-to-day living with the car seems potentially easier from a maintenance perspective.
That's definitely part of the appeal for many owners.
So, here's a final thought to leave you with. As this EV technology keeps evolving and battery tech improves even more, how might these maintenance needs change further down the line? Could we eventually see, I don't know, almost maintenance-free components? And what new kinds of vehicle care might pop up for all drivers, EV or otherwise? Something to think about. Thanks for this deep dive.